Bedtime stories made for you by Diggy and George.
The Elves and the Shoemaker. There was once a shoemaker, and very nice shoes he made too. But somehow he never seemed to earn enough money. The day came when he only had enough leather left to make one last pair of shoes. Carefully, he cut out the pattern and arranged the pieces on his bench, ready to sew the following morning. Then he went sadly off to bed. The next day, when he went down in his workroom, he couldn't believe his eyes. There, on the bench where he had left the pieces of leather, was the most beautiful pair of shoes. He picked them up in wonder. They were made with such tiny stitches that you could hardly see the sewing at all. And with the little pieces of leather that had been left over, delicate flowers had been made to decorate the shoes. The shoemaker put them in his window, and immediately his shop filled with people pushing and shoving each other as they offered more and more money for the lovely shoes. The shoemaker soon had enough money to buy leather to make 2 pairs of shoes. Again, he cut out the pieces and left them on his bench, ready to sew the next morning. When he got up the following day, he found once again that the sewing had been done for him. There on his bench were 2 delicately stitched pairs of shoes. Once again, they sold as soon as he put them in the window. Now the shoemaker had enough money to buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. So it went on for weeks and weeks. Now the shoemaker could buy the very best leather and suede and silks and velvets and brocades and lovely trimmings for his shoes. The townspeople paid him a lot of money for the beautiful shoes, and soon he became very rich. Now the shoemaker was a kind and generous man, and he wanted to share his good fortune with his secret helpers. One night, the shoemaker and his wife crept downstairs and peeped into the workshop. There, sitting on his bench, were 2 tiny elves, with not a stitch of clothing on, sewing away at his shoes and singing as they worked. When the shoes were finished, they disappeared. Pop! Just like that. The next day, the shoemaker and his wife sat down and sewed 2 lovely sets of clothes. Little shirts and trousers and waistcoats, scarves and hats and overcoats, and tiny scarlet leather boots. That night, the shoemaker and his wife tiptoed downstairs once more and peeped into the workshop where they had laid out the little clothes. On the stroke of midnight, the elves appeared. They shrieked with delight at the sight of the clothes. Quickly, they put them on. Laughing and singing, they danced around the room and skipped out into the street and were never seen again. But the shoemaker found that from that day on, the shoes that he made were every bit as beautiful as the ones the elves had sewn. And he and his wife lived comfortably for the rest of their days.